Today I am doing a walking tour of the Longwood Historic District in downtown Longwood, Florida. Now I definitely want to thank the Longwood Historic Society for having such a wonderful website up. They have several different walking tours you can take all across, and we're going to start at the very first one, the Blue Walking Tour, or the Central Walking Tour. The first stop on the tour is the Bradlee-McIntyre house, also known as the Bradlee Mac. The house was built in 1883 by Nathaniel Bradlee, an architect, and later was purchased by S. Maxwell McIntyre, thus the name. Originally located in Altamont Springs, in the 70s it was saved from destruction by the Longwood Historic Society and moved to historic Longwood. Now it serves as a museum, which gives guided tours every second and fourth Wednesday and second and fourth Sunday, which I will probably be doing in a later video. Right next door to the Bradlee Mac is the Longwood Inn. It was originally named the Waltham when it was completed in 1886. This hotel entertained tons of winter visitors who enjoyed hunting and fishing along the Gaughey River. It was closed after the freezes of December 1894 and February 1895 that wiped out the groves, and it actually resulted in residents leaving the area. But it was later reopened as the Longwood Hotel in 1910 after it was purchased and refurbished with gas lights in the lobby. It was then again bought in 1922 and renamed the St. George, but after the owner passed away in 1923, his brother Fred Clark named it the Orange and Black Hotel. In 1926, it was bought by a group including Joe Tinker, Hall of Fame baseball player who lived in Orlando. In the 1930s, it was a gambling establishment, and then it turned into a school for umpires. No, not vampires, umpires. Run by George Byrne. It is the setting for the movie Johnny Tiger and also Cry of the Laughing Owl. Then in the 70s, Cornell used it as a hotel operation school up until the mid-80s when it was converted into private offices, which is what it is right now. This is the Civic Center, and it's likely the oldest building original to Longwood. First used as a schoolhouse and community center, now serves as the headquarters for the Longwood Historic Society. The reason this building is called the Inside Out House is because its framing is exposed on the outside of the house. This house dates all the way back to 1873 and is one of the earliest examples of prefabricated houses in the United States. Originally owned by Captain W. Pierce, a retired sea captain, the downstairs of the house was used as a cabinet shop where the upstairs was where the family lived. It's currently being rented out as a cottage gift shop. Christ Church's first Episcopal congregation started in 1877. However, the present building wasn't built until 1881. Still running today, it is the oldest continuous church in Seminole County. Across the street from the church is the Clouser Cottage. Josiah Clouser's wife had fallen ill, and upon doctor's orders, he moved his family to a warmer state. On arriving to Longwood, he found his home infested with fleas, prompting him to build this temporary home out of whatever lumber he could find. They lived in it for 3 years, and now it's home to the Craft Shack. Now I skipped a few parts of this tour because I saw this house off in the distance, and I had to skip ahead a few on the tour because I really wanted to see this house. It looked so mysterious, and it really wasn't kept up at all. And it was kind of just left sitting on a little trailer in this back lot. It was constructed in 1886 by two brothers, J.D. and N.J. Lewis. And both of them were lawyers. They ran a business out of the bottom floor and lived upstairs. It seems to be a trend in Longwood. Now, to avoid it from being demolished, it was relocated a few times. And the city had some plans to turn it into maybe like an ice cream shop and put it right in the middle of the park, but those fell through, and right now it's in debate over keeping it or getting rid of it. So hopefully some funds can be raised because this is a really, really, really cool landmark, and I would hate to see it get destroyed or something. You could even turn it into like a really cool Instagram spot in the middle of the city where kids can come and take cool pictures in front of it. You charge them a few bucks to lean up against the house and take cool pictures. It's a really cool marketing opportunity for the city, and I would hate to see it get destroyed. Speaking of destroyed houses, the next one was being worked on. It's called the Niemeyer House. It was built in 1889 by Fred J. Niemeyer and his father-in-law, Josiah Clouser. They called it the Keystone. Now it's currently being restored by a member of the Historic Society who lives there. Built in 1887, this house was used as a millinery shop. There were more cool houses on the tour, and I wanted to skip on over to the next part of the tour, the East Walking Tour. Across the street from Ronald Reagan is the Hennick Tinker Building. Now, despite what the plaque says, it was actually built in 1926. What is now Connolly's Irish Pub was originally a bank, which closed during the Great Depression. Rumor is the vault still exists. This was the site of the 1883 Longwood Hotel, which burnt down in the 1890s and now is replaced by this building. In 1932, this building served as the post office through 1946. The post office was then relocated across the street. Lester and Blanche Payne purchased the old post office building in 1920 and had local carpenter S.R. Long build the rest of the building. They lived on the second floor and ran a hardware store on the first, and now it's home to a bunch of little retail shops. Now we gotta cross Ronald Reagan again to get to Clock Tower Park. Now, Clock Tower Park was the original site of the J.H. Allen grocery store, which was built in 1908. It was a retail space, and then they had it demolished in the 50s. And then in 1969, remember the post office that moved across the street? Well, that's where it was. It was right there. I also found this really cool fountain, which I want to add sound effects to. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Now, the post office closed in 1995. The new one was built, and they tore down that post office and built the clock tower in 2001. This home was built in 1886, and it was the home of Longwood's founder, Edward Warren Henk. And they said he moved out during the Great Freeze, but then came back home in 1914. This is the 1914 home of J.W. McGaughey, who is the owner of the Eva Lumber Company. When I was filming the last two houses, I couldn't help but notice a patch of the road that was off-colored. And that's because it was the remains of the old Dixie Highway. It was recently discovered in the 2000s during the city project to put down brick roads. Turns out laying underneath the asphalt were the original bricks. The city made it a project to restore these bricks so that we can see what this road may have looked like long ago. Next, we're going to head on over to the South Tour, or the Purple Tour. This next home was built in 1885, although its early residents aren't really known. It was purchased by Frederick C. Slade in the 1920s. This house was built around the 1920s as an investment property. The LaRue home was built in 1885 by J.S. LaRue, who was a staircase builder and blacksmith. Now it's an art studio. This is the James Waite's house. It was built in 1910, but due to excessive reconstructions and rebuilds, it's very different from what it originally was. In 1883, you might have gone to school here. Or probably not, you'd probably be dead by now, but this building was used until 1924 as a school. After that, it was turned into a town hall and then a restaurant, and now it's used as an office building. The original school bell is at the Civic Center. Now, there are a lot more cool places on this tour, but I wanted to take you to this very next one here. The construction of this home started in 1882 by Josiah Clouser. Remember the guy whose first house had fleas, and then he built that cottage and whatever he could find, and then he built this house while he was living in that cottage. It definitely showcases his work, but unfortunately the house was struck by lightning in 2006. Luckily, insurance helped pay for the repairs. I want to end this tour with you at the Longwood Community Building, which isn't old at all. It was built in 2002 for community gatherings and events. Speaking of communities, I would like to thank the Longwood Historic Society for their awesome website and guide, which I'll post links in the description. And the walking tours were put together by Jason Byrne, a local historian. I'll add his Facebook to the description as well. Hopefully you enjoyed the content. Please like and subscribe, and maybe tell me in the comments where you would like to see me go next. Thank you for watching, and remember, wherever you go, there you are.